Well, we heard TIF and TID brought up quite a few times with those answers. He goes right along with his next question, and Remy Gomez, you'll be the lead answer. The Long Range Planning Committee has spent significant time trying to develop Tomah's downtown and various TIF districts. Where do you stand on the current TID developments and why?
Well, yeah, we all kind of touched on it. Like I said, kind of inadvertently in the last question. They tie directly into each other. Like Jeff had said, it's not always money. Sometimes it's an incentive on the land. It's a break here and there. And as Donna alluded to, it's not easy being a business owner. It's not easy wanting to start up a new storefront. It's not easy getting the land in your name. There's ways that a city can help that. The way a TID district actually works, it is awesome. And I'd be lying if I said I was an expert on it. 6 months ago, I had no idea what I was talking about. Now I can maybe teach a class to third graders on it. Not quite sure. But it's a simple concept if you approach it with an open mind. Our downtown is a great example of a TID that's a rehabilitation. It's for the rehab. We're not looking to tear down buildings and stick in a whole bunch of new buildings. We want what is there to be better. We want it to be improved. We want the existing buildings. We just want to find a way that we can get profitable business in there. And there's also donor TIDs, like where the hospital currently sits, where Toro currently sits. Though we do give incentives on one end, donor TIDs can help that. They can support each other. So technically, when you give money away, yeah, you're going to go a little bit in the red. But as soon as that hospital, not the hospital, but the clinic opens their doors, that we'll start making money.
I do believe that the Long Range Planning Committee has a good handle on an idea of what they want to do to revitalize downtown, to help the current businesses be better, and to, with wishes and prayers, I think they have a good handle on what their incentive is. The preservation of the downtown, I sit on the Historic Preservation Committee for the city, and that's the concern, is keeping these buildings in a reasonable repair and the improvements within the historic aspect. So I think the long range planning has a good handle on it. I think the new lighting will be an added incentive for downtown to bring people into the area in the evenings, keep these stores open beyond 5 o'clock, and make it an area that is more inviting, more homey, and a better asset for Tomah.
Speaking on TIF in general, TIF can be a complex funding mechanism, and it shouldn't always be thought of just as an answer to everything. And we talk about it a lot, obviously, with 3 active districts. But the important part is when it's used appropriately, it can really be an amazing tool for growth. And that brings us to the question of our current TID developments. And I think they have been thought about. If you read the reports and you look at where we stand in the ratios, and you look at the projections, and you really truly start to understand how the 3 TIDs work together to really start to do great things, it really starts to come into focus. I 100% support all 3 districts that we have recently added. They've been thought about. They all already have buildings being built. The projections on those buildings will, when you follow them out as the TID code continues to move forward, they will cash flow. And they will do wonderful things for the city. And that's what it's all about. It's about making sure that we use this mechanism properly, and we listen to the professionals and follow their guidelines. And if we do, we will be successful.
I'm afraid I'm going to repeat a lot of the same things that Alderman Cram has just said. I've talked about downtown revitalization a couple of times, so I'm not going to give you the same spiel on that. But I feel that TIFs are a strong vehicle for development in the city of Tomah, which is important because it helps us not raise taxes on the individual citizen, which is always going to make people happy. As I mentioned previously, it's a great way to increase the tax base. So again, if you're keeping score, I said it again. And like we mentioned, what it really comes down to is that TIFs are not a cure-all. It's not something that we need some money, we don't know we're going to get the money, let's throw a district somewhere and call it a day, right? It takes responsible management, and I think the city of Tomah and the people that we have in place have been incredibly fiscally responsible with the ways that we have managed these things. The projections, like Alderman Cram said, are there. They look great. The TIFs are performing the absolute way they are supposed to, so I think we should just stay the course and keep doing what we're doing.
I'm not really a strong advocate for kids. I think they're very risky. They can be very helpful for a city also, but there's a very fine line. We need to be careful about working on kids in agriculture land, because when you get into that, then you have to put in the whole infrastructure. You have to put water, you have to put sewer, you have to put roads. And you have to be careful that you're not spending more than what you're going to have coming in. You have to be careful about speculation. Yes, we would like to see a lot of business come in when we have a TID. However, that's no guarantee. So if you run short of money, if you're spending more than the revenue you have coming in, you end up with two choices. You're either going to have to cut services, or you're going to have to increase taxes. So personally, I think kids are risky, and I'm not really in favor of them.
I guess I would say there's a lot to learn about TIDs, and I didn't know anything until I threw my ring in the hat to say I was going to run for council. So I'm still in the learning process, but I have learned a lot. I think the TIDs in our area, 8, 9, 10, if you look out there and see what's being built off of TIDs, you're going to say it's great. We've got a hospital, we have a great clinic coming out there with more hopeful growth to come to the south, and that's what we want to grow. Downtown, look at the Murray's on Main, the third gen building that they built. By the help of the other TIDs, it's going to help open up our downtown, invite businesses in and fill those buildings. The Toro Complex started many, many years ago here on a TID. Look at what it's building now. Look what growth is out there. They're building a $40 million project. Toro could have went anywhere. They've stayed here in Tomah. That says something about our community. Yes, there's a lot of risk for TIDs, but I think under the right management and the planning properly, they will work for our city. And I think we have that with our city administrator and our long-range planning. So I think we need to steer the boat, keep going on, and keep it running properly.
So I spent the last 2 years sitting on the Long Range Planning Commission along with the council, and I can say with absolute confidence that the position we're in with our TIF districts is really strong. Again, going back to looking at what the professionals that we bring in, what their guidance is, we wouldn't have started those TIDs had we not believed that they were going to be successful. That's not our role as a council to put the city in that position. So where we're at today, definitely where I think we need to be. These TIDs are regulated by the state government, so it's not an open checkbook per se. So from a regulatory standpoint, we're in good shape as far as the amount of property we have in TID districts, and then from a financial standpoint, we're in really good shape. They're going to be successful. It is an investment, and we put some thought and some research into it, and it's going to pay dividends. Not this year, not next year, but over the next 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to really see those TIDs start to pay off.
I support the TIDs of Tomah that are in place to give the city a return on their investments. In every vote we take, we have to be cautious, we have to investigate, we have to know where our money is going. That's important. Now, to have some of these TIFs successful, we have to take out loans. And that is a reflection perhaps on the taxpayer, that the taxpayer is going to pay a little bit more out of their pockets to support the TIFs. Now, there is a 60-40% risk factor. So I support the TIFs, but to look at it very carefully, each and every TIF that's put on the agenda to make sure that it's solid as far as the city could go with. Thank you.